Episode 551. At the post-match press conference, the two old rivals were, for once, not at each other's throats with their usual explosive hostility, but that was only on the surface. Tyranny only made a few brief comments about the match itself. They quickly moved on to talk about their prospects and goals for the season, and their plans for the playoffs, all things that this season's excellent era simply wouldn't have. The more perceptive professional journalists immediately sensed that this was Tyranny's way of saying excellent era was no longer on their level and thus not worth discussing further. As for excellent era, the loser's voice is always a little quieter. Excellent era politely praised Tyranny's excellent tactics in the team competition, casually noting that it was because they were playing on Tyranny's home turf that they could employ such meticulously prepared strategies. They concluded by saying it was a shame there would be no further chance to face Tyranny this season, and expressed hope that both sides would deliver even more spectacular matches for the fans next season. Their statement was similarly reserved, but the journalists, ever adept at reading between the lines, noticed that excellent era's implied message seemed to be one of a gentleman's revenge is a dish best served cold. After all, excellent era understood their supporters' current mood. They didn't dare to mindlessly boast again. They'd already lost. To keep acting like a dead duck with a hard beak would seem anything but domineering. It would just look cheap. Although excellent era hadn't touched the championship trophy in 4 years, the glory of their previous 3 consecutive titles meant they still considered themselves the number 1 team in the Glory League. The press conference ended on a harmonious note, and the broadcast at Happy Internet Cafe concluded as well. The audience began to drift away, their enthusiasm waning. Watching these guys shuffle off with their heads down, Shen Guo really wanted to grab them and ask,
"Do you ever miss Yishu?"
But in the end, Shen Guo didn't do it. After all, the man himself, Ye Shu, was sitting right there, looking perfectly calm and collected. She figured that if she jumped out to be the one to speak up, the person in question wouldn't be grateful. In fact, he'd probably just look down on her even more. After seeing off that huge wave of customers, Ye Shu and Chen Guo settled back behind the front counter to play their game. The night's business had only briefly spiked thanks to the competition, before settling back into its usual quiet routine. The later it got, the fewer people remained, and there were basically no new customers to take their place. By the time it was almost midnight, the internet cafe had emptied out completely. Over the course of the evening, several more underage kids without IDs had shown up trying to get on a computer, and Chen Guo had naturally chased every single one of them away. At 11 o'clock, a whole squad of teenagers showed up, putting on airs and trying to negotiate terms with Chen Guo for an all-night gaming session. On this matter, Chen Guo was utterly unmovable and impervious to all persuasion. Anyone without an ID was shown the door, no questions asked. Once the last customer was gone, she just pulled down the shutter and closed up shop. The long holiday had been spent entertaining her idol and gaming with him. Chen Guo hadn't pulled all-nighters every time, but her once rock-solid, early-to-bed routine had finally been thrown completely out of whack. It was midnight. In the past, he'd have been sound asleep by now, but tonight he was wide awake and full of energy. So what was there to do? Only glory. They tidied up the front desk with Ye Shu, then headed over to their usual gaming stations, each logging into their own account.
So, how's it going? Made any progress lately?
Chen Guo shook her head numbly, turning to look at Ye Shu's screen.
What level are you at now?
Level 49. Gonna hit 50 tonight.
The historic moment was finally at hand. Chen Guo decided to stay up as late as possible tonight to commemorate this glorious occasion.
So, what's the plan after you hit level 50?
First, we'll pick up the quest and run through the initial steps. Then we'll wait for the others to catch up in level.
What a waste of time.
Chen Guo sighed. For ordinary players, the quest chain felt so drawn out because they kept failing and having to repeat the practice sections over and over. But for Ye Shu, Shen Guo was certain he could clear it in one go. No repeats, just steady progress. The Heavenly Domains challenge wouldn't hold him up for long. As for the arena, they'd have to wait a full month for the general player base to hit level 50 under normal circumstances. There is a spring festival event now, but few normal people play around the clock like they do, so Ye Shu and his crew's leveling speed is completely unrepresentative. With the boost from this event, it would still take a good half-month for a massive influx of players to arrive. For those 2 weeks, Ye Shu was essentially trapped there, with nothing to do. That night, Shen Guo truly didn't sleep a wink. She worked on the event quests while keeping a constant eye on Lord Grimm's experience bar, until she finally witnessed that historic moment with her own eyes. In a surge of vibrant light, Lord Grimm flawlessly advanced to level 50, becoming the first player on the 10th server to reach it. With the Spring Festival in full swing, the major guilds' round-the-clock leveling marathons lost their steam. During this period, they couldn't even keep up with Ye Shu's grinding pace. And since Chen Guo hadn't given up on grinding for Lord Grimm, by the end of the 7-day holiday, Lord Grimm had become the undisputed #1 player on the 10th server. Unfortunately, the 10th server didn't hold a leveling race this time. Lord Grimm may have been the first to hit level 50, but there was no system reward for it. It just drew a few gasps of amazement from the players. At level 50, Lord Grimm's gear was nothing special, aside from his silver weapon, the Myriad Manifestations umbrella. Since he had no class specific gear. Lord Grimm's gear was just whatever he'd picked up along the way, swapping out pieces whenever something more convenient came along. As for the money for these common items, Ye Shu had plenty of that. So now his gear was a complete hodgepodge, a mix of all levels and types. But that's pretty much the attitude of any veteran player. Before hitting max level, few people go all out to gear themselves up. The big guilds do this for a couple of reasons. First, good gear is essential for challenging dungeon records. Second, they have the numbers, which means abundant resources. They usually don't need to spend much. By pooling resources internally, they can pretty much piece together full sets of equipment. Now that he'd reached level 50, Ye Shu had plenty of time. He was in no rush, methodically preparing to properly outfit his character. There's no need for a full set of top-tier gear, but with a proper configuration, his combat power at level 50 could still see a significant boost.